They called her broken, worthless, a joke to offer the Alpha King, but no one expected him to claim her as his own. Watch as a rejected Omega discovers her true power and finds love where she least expected it. What happens when the very thing that marks you as different becomes the source of your greatest strength? The moon hangs like a broken promise in the night sky as I limp through the forest, my left leg dragging slightly behind me. Everyone says this bad leg is a sign that I'm a broken Omega. My scent is wrong too. Too bitter. Too weak. I've heard the whispers all my life. Useless mate. Broken vessel. Waste of space. My small cottage sits at the edge of the packlands, as far from the others as I'm allowed to live. Inside, dried herbs hang from rough wooden beams, and the smell of sweet chamomile helps mask the lonely feeling that follows me everywhere. This is where I belong, among my healing plants and old books, not with the others who look at me with pity or scorn. But tonight is the lunar festival. Everyone must go, even outcasts like me. I brush my long brown hair and put on my cleanest gray dress. It's plain and slightly worn at the edges, but it's the best I have. I look in my cracked mirror and try to smile, but my eyes show the fear I feel inside. Taking a deep breath of the cool night air, I grab my herb basket and head toward the village center. The path is dark and full of roots that catch at my bad foot. Twice I almost fall. The sounds of music and laughter reach me before I see the lights of the great hall. My heart beats faster with each step closer to the place where I am least welcome. I slip into the back of the gathering hall, trying to stay close to the shadows. The air is thick with sweet perfumes and excitement. Everyone is dressed in their finest clothes, bright silks and shiny jewels that make my simple gray dress feel like rags. The hall glows with hundreds of candles. Tables groan under the weight of food, roasted meats, fresh breads, and sweet cakes that make my mouth water. I haven't eaten since morning, but I know better than to approach the feast tables where others stand. Look who decided to show up! A sharp voice cuts through the music. Elara, the daughter of a high-ranking pack member, stands with her friends, her perfect teeth gleaming in a smile that never reaches her eyes. The Alpha King needs some fun tonight. Perhaps we should offer him our broken Omega? Her friends laugh, the sound cutting through me like winter wind. One of them whispers something I can't hear, and they laugh even harder, eyes darting to my bad leg. I keep my eyes down, looking at the pretty stone pattern on the floor. 1 hour, I tell myself. I just need to stay for 1 hour. Then I can go back to my quiet cottage where no one mocks me. The smells of the feast make my empty stomach hurt. I hold my herb basket tighter and try to find a corner where I can watch the dancing without being seen. The music swells drums and pipes, playing a lively tune that has couples spinning across the floor. I watch their grace with a mix of wonder and sadness, knowing I will never join them. They say he's looking for a mate. An older woman whispers nearby, not noticing me in the shadows. The Alpha King hasn't chosen anyone in all these years. He won't find one here, her friend replies. He needs someone strong to give him healthy pups, not one of these silly girls who care only for pretty dresses. I shift my weight, trying to ease the ache in my bad leg. As I move, my basket knocks against the wall with a soft thud. The women turn, see me, and quickly move away as if my broken state might somehow spread to them. Suddenly, the room falls silent. The music stops mid-note. The crowd parts like water around a stone, and heavy footsteps approach from the main entrance. Something strange pulls my gaze upward against my will, and then, warm, amber eyes meet mine, eyes that burn like melted gold, set in a face carved from shadows. The Alpha King himself, standing a full head taller than anyone else, his broad shoulders blocking the light behind him. Time stops. He wears a simple black tunic, but something about him makes every other man in the room look small. Power rolls off him in waves I can almost see. His dark hair falls to his shoulders, and a scar runs along his jaw only making him look more fierce. His nose twitches slightly, and something dangerous flashes across his face. Curiosity? Disgust? I can't tell, but my heart pounds so hard I fear everyone can hear it. I shouldn't stare. Omegas never look alphas in the eye, much less the Alpha King. But I can't look away. For 3 heartbeats, maybe 4, we are locked in a stare that feels like a physical touch. Then Elara steps forward, her red dress swirling around her perfect legs. "Your Majesty," she purrs, dropping into a deep bow that shows off her slender neck. "We're so honored by your presence." The spell breaks. The Alpha King's eyes leave mine, and I can breathe again. As he turns toward Elara and her friends, I see my chance to escape. Clutching my herb basket to my chest, I push through the crowd toward the side door. Someone steps on my bad foot, making me stumble. Someone else laughs. I keep moving, my face hot with shame. The cool night air hits my face as I slip outside, and I gulp it down like water. Stars shine above me, cold and distant. I start down the path toward home, walking as fast as my limp allows. Behind me, the music starts again, but I fancy I can feel those amber eyes on my back long after the lights of the hall fade from view. Back in my cottage, I bar the door and sink into my chair by the fire. My hands shake as I make a cup of tea. I tell myself I'm being silly. The Alpha King wasn't really looking at me. Why would he notice a broken Omega when the hall was full of perfect ones? But as I drift off to sleep that night, those golden eyes follow me into my dreams. And for the first time in years, I don't dream of being fixed. I dream of being wanted, just as I am. 3 days after the festival, a storm rages outside my cottage. Thunder crashes and shakes my little home. Rain pounds against my windows like someone trying to get in. The wind howls through the trees, making them bend and creak. I sit by my small fire, grinding dried willow bark with a stone mortar and pestle. The bitter smell fills the room as I work. Old Marta from the edge of the village needs this medicine for her fever. No one else will help her because she's poor, but sickness doesn't care if you have money or not. Lightning flashes, turning night to day for a breath, then plunges everything back into darkness. I count 1, 2, 3 before the thunder follows. The storm is close now. My hands work steadily despite the noise outside. Grind, turn, grind again. The familiar work calms me. Here in my little cottage with my herbs and potions, I know who I am. I know my worth, even if others don't see it. The memory of those amber eyes still haunts me. 3 days, and I can't forget the way the Alpha King looked at me, like he could see right through me, like he was searching for something. I shake my head to clear away foolish thoughts. Kings don't waste time thinking about broken Omegas. A sharp knock cuts through the storm noise. So loud I drop my mortar with a clatter. My heart jumps to my throat. No one comes to my cottage this late, especially not in a storm. Another knock, harder this time. I stand slowly, my bad legs stiff from sitting too long. "Who's there?" I call, but my voice is lost in a crash of thunder. Before I can reach the door, it bursts open. Wind and rain swirl into my cottage, putting out 2 of my candles. A large, dark shape fills the doorway, bringing with it the scent of blood and pine forests. He stands in my doorway, the Alpha King soaked to the skin and carrying something wrapped in his cloak. Behind him, lightning lights up the sky, making him look even bigger than I remember. "Help her," he growls, stepping inside. Water drips from his clothes and pools at his feet as he gently places his bundle on my table. I stand frozen, my mind unable to make sense of what my eyes see. The Alpha King, here, in my cottage. Small hands push out from the wet cloak a child, no more than 5 years old, her little face red with fever. "What happened?" I ask, already moving toward them. My fear is still there, but pushed aside by the sight of the sick child. "Rogues at the border," he says, his voice deep and rough like stones rolling together. "Her parents didn't make it. They said you're a healer." I look up sharply. "Who said that?" "Everyone knows," he replies, his amber eyes watching my every move. The broken Omega who fixes others. The words sting, but I don't have time to feel hurt. The child whimpers, drawing my attention back to her. Blood soaks through her little nightdress, and her small body shakes with cold. "You're hurt too," I say, noticing the way he stands. He holds his right side carefully, and a dark stain spreads across his shirt. "The child first," he commands. I nod and get to work. This is what I know. Healing, mending, fixing what's broken, even if I myself cannot be fixed. "Bring more wood for the fire," I tell him, forgetting for a moment who I'm talking to. "And in that cabinet, there's clean cloth. Tear it into strips." To my surprise, he obeys without a word. While he builds up the fire, I gently unwrap the child from his wet cloak. She's tiny, with dark curls stuck to her forehead from fever, sweat. A deep cut runs along her arm, still bleeding. "It's okay, little one," I whisper, stroking her cheek. "I'm going to help you feel better." Her eyes flutter open deep blue, filled with fear. "Mama?" she calls weakly. My heart breaks a little. "I'm going to take care of you. I promise." Not knowing what else to say, the Alpha King returns with the cloth strips. His face, usually hard and closed, looks different now, worried, almost soft. "Hold her still," I tell him as I clean the wound. The child cries out when the cleaning herbs touch her cut. But the Alpha King speaks to her in a low, gentle voice, telling her a story about brave little wolves who face storms without fear. I stitch the wound with my smallest bone needle and thread made from sheep gut. My hands work quickly, the movements familiar from years of helping others. When I finish, I mix a tea of willow bark for pain and fever, adding honey to help the bitter medicine go down. "She needs to drink this," I say, holding the cup. The Alpha King lifts the child into a sitting position. She's barely awake, but he coaxes her to take small sips until the cup is empty. "Now you," I say, turning to him. He shakes his head. "I'm fine." "You're bleeding," I point out. "And you'll be no help to her if you get sick too." For a long moment, he just looks at me. I expect him to growl or order me to mind my place. Instead, his mouth twitches into what might almost be a smile. "You're not afraid of me," he says. It's not a question. I think about it. The most powerful alpha in our world is standing in my cottage, soaked and bleeding. I should be terrified. But the fear I felt at first has faded. "I'm afraid of many things," I answer honestly, "but not of someone who treats a hurt child with kindness." He nods slowly, then pulls his shirt over his head. A deep gash runs along his ribs, still oozing blood. Around it, dark bruises bloom like storm clouds on his skin. Without his shirt, I can see just how strong he is, all muscle and scars from old battles. I try to keep my face calm as I clean his wound. It's worse than I thought, deep enough to need stitches. "This will hurt," I warn him. He just nods. I've had worse. As I work, the child sleeps on my bed, wrapped in dry blankets. The storm outside begins to quiet, the thunder moving away. "What's your name?" the Alpha King asks suddenly. I look up, surprised. "Lyra," I tell him. "Lyra," he repeats, as if testing how it feels in his mouth. "And yours?" I ask, before I can stop myself. Everyone knows the Alpha King's title, but few know his name. This time, he does smile, just a little. "Kieran." "Well, Kieran," I say, tying off the last stitch. "You need rest now, and food." I move to my small kitchen area and make a simple stew with dried meat and herbs. As I work, I feel his eyes on me, watching my every move. "Why do you live so far from the others?" he asks. I stir the pot and don't look at him. "You know why? I'm broken." "You seem whole to me," he says quietly. The simple words hit me harder than any insult ever has. I blink back sudden tears and focus on the food. When the stew is ready, I bring him a bowl. Our fingers brush as he takes it, and something warm runs up my arm, like touching a sunbeam. "Thank you, Lyra," he says, his voice softer than before. Outside, the storm has passed. But inside my little cottage, I feel like something new is just beginning to brew. Days blend together as I care for my two unexpected guests. The child Mira, she whispers her name on the second day, starts to get better. Her fever breaks and color returns to her pale cheeks. She's shy at first, hiding behind Kieran whenever I come near, but by the third day, she follows me around the cottage, watching with big blue eyes as I mix herbs and make medicines. "What's that one?" she asks, pointing to a jar of dried flowers. "Lavender," I tell her, letting her smell the sweet purple blooms. It helps people sleep and calms their worries. "My mama had worries," she says, her small face serious. She was always looking over her shoulder. My heart aches for her. I know the rogues who attacked her family are dangerous wild wolves who follow no alpha and respect no laws. They raid villages at the edges of our lands, taking what they want. That Mira survived at all is a miracle. "Well, you're safe now, I promise. Though I'm not sure I should make such promises. Nothing in this world is truly safe, especially for a child with no family, because of the big wolf," she says, nodding toward Kieran, who sits by the window watching the forest. "He saved me." Kieran is a more difficult patient than Mira. He doesn't like sitting still, even though his wound needs rest to heal properly. He paces the small space of my cottage, looking out windows, checking the door. His energy fills the room, making my usual quiet space feel smaller. "You need to rest," I tell him on the fourth day, trying to check the stitches in his side. "The wound will open again if you keep moving around." "I don't like being in one place too long," he says, but sits on the edge of my bed to let me look at his injury. His skin is hot under my fingers, the way all alphas run hotter than others. My hands look very small and pale against his chest, and I try to ignore the way my heart beats faster when he watches me work. The cut is healing well, with no signs of the angry redness that means infection. I spread a honey and herb paste over it and wrap clean cloth around his middle. "Thank you," he says, catching my hand before I can pull away. His fingers are rough with calluses, but gentle as they hold mine. "I wouldn't have known what to do for her without you." "Anyone would have helped," I say, not used to thanks. He shakes his head. "Not anyone. Not like this." He looks around my small home. "You've given up your bed, your food, your space. You've asked for nothing in return." I pull my hand away, uncomfortable with his praise. "I don't need much." That night, after Mira falls asleep on my bed, Kieran and I sit by the fire. Outside, an owl calls softly in the darkness. Inside, the flames make shadows dance on the walls of my cottage. "You're different than they say," he says after a long silence. I stiffen. "And what do they say?" "That you're cursed, broken, that you push people away." He leans forward, the fire turning his amber eyes to molten gold. "But that's not what I see." "What do you see?" I whisper, unable to look at him. Someone who has been told she's worthless for so long she believes it. His voice is soft but sure. Someone who heals others but never herself. No one has ever seen me this way. No one has ever looked past my limp and my so-called broken status to see the person inside. I don't know what to say, so I say nothing, staring into the fire as if it holds answers. "Why do they call you broken?" he asks. I consider not answering. This pain is mine, private and deep, but something about the quiet night and his steady presence makes me want to speak truth for once. "I can't bond," I say simply. "They discovered it when I was 13. The healers did tests, they brought in alphas and tried to force a bond. Nothing happened, no connection." "No?" I gesture vaguely. "Whatever is supposed to happen. And that makes you broken?" he asks, frowning. "An Omega who can't bond is useless." I repeat the words I've heard all my life. We exist to bond, to have children, to complete an alpha. If I can't do that, what good am I? "You saved Mira," he points out. "You're healing me. That seems like good to me." His words warm something cold inside me. We sit in silence for a while, listening to the fire crackle and Mira's soft breathing from the bed. "What about your family?" he asks finally. "My parents gave up on me after the bonding tests failed. They tried everything, more tests, special diets, even a witch from the mountains who made me drink something that made me sick for days. The memories still sting, even after all these years. Nothing worked. Eventually, they stopped trying. My father built this cottage at the edge of the village, and I moved here when I was 16. Alone? At 16? There's anger in his voice now. I shrug. I learned to be a healer. People may not want me as a mate, but they still come when they need help. And no one helps you in return? I've never thought about it that way. I manage. He stands abruptly and walks to the window, his back to me. The firelight plays over his broad shoulders, casting him half in light, half in shadow. I've never told anyone these things. I admit to his back. The words feel strange in my mouth, like speaking a language I've never used before. "Perhaps no one has ever truly listened," he says, turning back to me. Something shifts between us, fragile and new, like the first green shoot after winter's snow. The next morning, I wake to find Mira sitting by my side where I slept on the floor. She holds out a small bunch of wildflowers, picked from around my cottage. "For you," she says shyly, "because you make the hurt better." I take them, touched by her simple gift. "Thank you, little one." Kieran watches us from across the room, a strange look on his face. For a moment, the three of us make a picture that feels almost like family, a word I haven't let myself think about in years. As days pass, I find myself changing. My steps feel lighter, despite my bad leg. I sing old songs my grandmother taught me while I work, songs I'd almost forgotten. Mira learns to help with simple tasks, grinding dried herbs, hanging plants to dry from the ceiling beams. And Kieran watches it all with those amber eyes that see too much. He tells us stories at night, tales of the wide world beyond our packlands, of the sea that stretches forever, of mountains so tall they touch the clouds. His deep voice fills my cottage with wonder, and sometimes, when the story is funny, he laughs a rich sound that makes my heart do strange things in my chest. On the 7th night, as Mira sleeps, I find myself telling Kieran about my dreams, the ones I had before the world told me I was broken. Dreams of healing, not just bodies, but souls. Dreams of belonging somewhere. "You belong," he says, reaching out to touch my cheek. His fingers are warm against my skin. "Right here, right now. This can't last," I whisper, the truth of it heavy in my chest. "You'll heal. You'll take Mira somewhere safe. You'll go back to being the Alpha King, and I'll go back to being the broken Omega at the edge of the village." He moves closer, his eyes never leaving mine. What if there's another way? Before I can ask what he means, we hear a sound that doesn't belong in the peaceful night. Footsteps, many of them, coming toward my cottage. Kieran rises to his feet in one smooth motion, his body suddenly tense like a bowstring. "Wake, Mira," he whispers, moving to the window. Quietly. My heart pounds in my chest as I limp to the bed where Mira sleeps, her dark curls spread across my pillow. I touch her shoulder gently. "Mira, sweetie, you need to wake up now." Her blue eyes open, cloudy with sleep. "Is it morning?" "No, little one. But we need to be very quiet, like playing a hiding game." I keep my voice calm despite the fear crawling up my throat. Outside, I hear the soft clink of metal weapons, maybe, or armor. Kieran peers through a small gap in the shutters, his face hard in the dim firelight. "How many?" I ask. "6, maybe more, in the trees." His voice is different now, deeper, with a growl underneath that raises the hair on my arms. "Royal insignia. The King's Guard." Mira whimpers, clutching at my skirt. I pull her behind me without thinking, an instinct to protect that surprises me with its strength. "They found me," Kieran says, moving away from the window. He rolls his shoulders, and I swear the air around him darkens. The wound in his side must hurt, but he shows no sign of pain now. Your Majesty, a voice calls from outside. We've come to escort you home. Surrender the child and the Omega. Mira's small fingers dig into my leg. I don't want to go, she whispers. Stay behind me, Kieran orders, his voice dropping to a growl that doesn't sound fully human. The air in the cottage grows heavy, charged with something ancient and wild. When he steps toward the door, I follow, keeping Mira safe behind me. My bad leg protests, but I ignore it. Stay inside, Kieran says without turning. No, I answer, surprising myself with my boldness. This is my home. I have a right to know what happens here. He looks back at me then, and for a second, I see something flash in his eyes. Respect, maybe, or surprise. He nods once. When Kieran steps outside, I follow to the doorway, keeping Mira behind me. The night air is cool on my face after the warmth of the cottage. 6 men stand in a half circle before my door. Their horses shift nervously in the shadows of the trees. Each man wears the black and silver of the royal guard, with weapons strapped to their sides. The leader steps forward, a tall man with a scar cutting through his left eyebrow. Your Majesty, he says, bowing stiffly. The council sent us. We've been searching for days. I didn't ask to be found, Kieran replies, his voice deadly quiet. The captain's eyes flick to me, then to Mira peeking around my skirts. His lip curls slightly. The council is concerned for your safety, and the Omega is known to be defective. The child must be placed with a proper family. My cheeks burn at his words. Defective. Even here, even now, that's all they see. But Kieran's response stops my thoughts cold. You dare to question my judgment? He asks, each word like ice. Power radiates from him in waves I can almost see. The air grows heavy, thick with his scent, pine and smoke, and something darker. The horses stamp nervously, sensing the change. The captain takes a small step back. Your Majesty, the council only wants... The council serves at my pleasure, Kieran cuts him off. Not the other way around. He steps forward, and though the captain is tall, Kieran seems to tower over him. She belongs to me now, he declares. Both of them. Touch what is mine, and you forfeit your life. The words hit me like a physical blow. Belongs to him? Part of me wants to object. I belong to no one. But another part, a deeper part, feels something strange at his claim. Not anger. Something warmer. Something I don't have a name for. The captain hesitates, looking at his men. They shift uneasily, hands near their weapons but not drawing them. Even 6 against 1, they fear him. I understand why. The Kieran who told gentle stories by my fire is gone. In his place stands something primal and dangerous, a true Alpha King. As you wish, Your Majesty, the captain finally says, bowing again, but the council will not be pleased. Their pleasure is not my concern, Kieran replies coldly. The captain's eyes find mine again, full of dislike. Remember your place, Omega, he says, low enough that Kieran might not hear, but he does hear. In a movement faster than my eyes can follow, Kieran has the captain by the throat, lifting him until his feet barely touch the ground. Her place, Kieran growls, is wherever she chooses to be. Speak to her like that again, and I will rip out your tongue. He releases the captain, who falls to his knees, gasping for air. Leave, Kieran commands. Tell the council I will return when I am ready, and not before. The men mount their horses quickly, the captain still rubbing his throat. As they turn to go, he calls back. This isn't over, Your Majesty. The law is clear about unmated Omegas and orphaned children. Kieran's only response is a low growl that seems to come from the earth itself. We watch until they disappear into the trees, the sound of hoofbeats fading into the night. Only when they're gone does Kieran turn back to us, and I see the change come over him again, the dangerous power banking down like a fire being covered, the tension leaving his shoulders. Are they really gone? Mira asks in a small voice. Kieran kneels to her level, his face softening. Yes, little star. They're gone. Will they come back? He hesitates, then nods. Probably, but not tonight. I stand in the doorway, uncertain. The word mine echoes in my head. I should be angry. I should tell him I don't belong to anyone, that he can't claim me like a piece of land or a hunting prize. But the truth is, no one has ever wanted to claim me before. As if hearing my thoughts, Kieran rises and turns to me. I'm sorry, he says, surprising me. I didn't ask if you wanted to be claimed. I don't know what to say. My whole life, I've been the thing no one wanted. The broken Omega. The failed bond. The healer at the edge of the village. Useful but not desirable. Why would you claim me? I ask finally. I can't bond, remember? Something flashes in his eyes. Frustration? Determination? There are many kinds of bonds, he says. Not all of them follow the old rules. Mira tugs at my hand, breaking the strange tension between us. I'm cold, she says, rubbing her eyes. We go back inside, and I tuck Mira into my bed again. She falls asleep quickly, the excitement of the night fading into dreams. Kieran stands by the fire, staring into the flames. His shoulders are stiff, and I see him wince slightly. The confrontation has strained his healing wound. Let me check your side, I say, reaching for my herb basket. It's fine, he replies, but lets me look anyway. As I check the stitches, I gather my courage. Did you mean it? I ask. About me belonging to you? His eyes find mine, serious and deep. I meant that you are under my protection, that no one will call you broken or defective in my presence and live to tell about it. Oh, I'm not sure if I'm relieved or disappointed, but, he continues, lifting my chin with one finger so I have to look at him. If you wanted to belong to me in another way, I would not object. My heart jumps in my chest like a startled rabbit. I can't bond, I remind him, pulling away. You need a proper mate, someone who can give you heirs. I have lived 30 years without a mate, he says. I can recognize what matters when I find it. I don't know how to answer that, so I finish checking his wound in silence. But inside, something warm unfurls like a flower opening to the Sunday. Later, as I make tea to help us sleep, Kieran comes to stand beside me. Thank you, he says quietly. For what? For not turning us away that first night. For healing Mira. For seeing me as more than just the Alpha King. I look up at him. This powerful man who could have anything, anyone he wants. Thank you for seeing me as more than just the broken Omega. He touches my cheek gently, and this time, I don't pull away. You were never broken, he says. Just extraordinary, in a way they couldn't understand. As I fall asleep that night, curled on my pallet by the fire, I think about the guards and their threats. I think about Kieran's claim and what it might mean. I think about Mira, who now feels like my responsibility too. But mostly, I think about the word extraordinary. And for the first time in my life, I let myself wonder if it might be true. For 2 weeks, we exist in our own little world. Kieran's wound heals, pink scar tissue replacing the angry red gash. Mira blooms like a flower in spring, her nightmares growing less frequent, her laughter filling my small cottage. And I begin to believe in impossible things. We settle into a rhythm together. In the mornings, I teach Mira about herbs while Kieran hunts in the forest. He brings back rabbits and sometimes a deer, more food than I've ever had at once. In the afternoons, we all work together preserving meat, gathering firewood, fixing the loose boards on my porch that have creaked for years. In the evenings, we sit by the fire. Kieran tells stories, his deep voice painting pictures of distant places. Mira falls asleep with her head in my lap. And sometimes, when she's deep in dreams, Kieran's hand finds mine in the firelight. You would like the mountains in the north, he tells me one night. The air smells of pine and snow, even in summer. and there are flowers there that don't grow anywhere else perfect for your healing work. I try to imagine it tall peaks touching the sky, fields of strange flowers, air cold and clean in my lungs. It sounds like a fairy tale, as far from my life as the moon from the earth. Maybe someday, I say, not believing it. He watches me with those amber eyes that see too much. Why not now? Before I can answer, Mira stirs in my lap, lost in some dream. I stroke her hair until she settles again. But the question hangs in the air between us. Why not now? Because this can't last. Because the real world waits beyond my cottage walls. Because he is the Alpha King, and I am still the broken Omega. On the morning of the 15th day, I wake to find Kieran standing at the window, watching the sun rise. His shoulders are tense, his body alert in a way I haven't seen since the night the guards came. "What's wrong?" I ask, my voice still rough with sleep. He doesn't turn. I heard wolves in the night, not rogues, my people. My heart sinks. I've known this moment would come, but that doesn't make it easier. "You have to go back," I say. It's not a question. Now he turns, his face solemn in the early light. There are whispers of trouble in the Northern Territories. My absence has been noted. Even though I expected this, pain cuts through me sharp as any knife. "Of course. You have duties." Mira still sleeps, curled in my bed like a small kitten. She's gotten used to this place, to our little family that isn't really a family. What will happen to her when Kieran leaves? As if reading my thoughts, he comes to sit beside me on my pallet by the dead fire. "Come with me," he says, taking my hands in his. "Both of you." I pull away, shaking my head. "And be what? The broken Omega who caught a king's fancy? The court joke? Be my queen," he says simply. The words hang between us, impossible and beautiful. "Your council would never accept me," I whisper. "I can't bond, remember? I'm defective." His jaw tightens, a muscle jumping along his cheek. "You are not defective." "Tell that to your council," I say bitterly. "Tell that to your people who need a proper queen, one who can give you heirs, who can form a true bond." "I don't care what they think," he growls. "But you should," I argue. "You're their king. You have responsibilities." He stands and paces the small room, his energy filling the space. "You think I don't know that? You think I haven't spent my whole life putting duty before everything else?" He runs a hand through his dark hair. "For once, I've found something that matters more." My heart twists painfully in my chest. No one has ever put me first. No one has ever thought I mattered at all, let alone mattered more than duty. "And what about Mira?" I ask softly. "What happens to her if I go with you?" "She comes too," he says without hesitation. "As my ward. No one would dare question it." I look at the sleeping child, her dark lashes resting on her cheeks. She's already lost so much. Could I really bring her into a world of court politics and people who might resent her presence? "I need time," I say finally. "This is all happening so fast." Something flashes across his face, frustration, determination, something else I can't name. He kneels before me, taking my hands again. "I need time too," he admits, "to secure my position, to make it safe for you both." His eyes search mine. "Will you wait?" The question is heavy with meaning. Wait for him. Wait for a future that seems impossible. Wait for a world where the broken Omega becomes a queen. But when I look into his eyes, I can almost see that world. I nod, not trusting my voice. The relief on his face makes him look younger, the lines of worry smoothing away. "I will return before the next full moon," he promises. 1 month, no longer. We spend the day preparing for his departure. I pack healing herbs for his journey, wrapping them carefully in cloth. He chops enough firewood to last weeks, stacking it neatly against the cottage wall. Mira cries when we tell her Kieran must leave. She clings to his leg, her small face red with tears. "Don't go," she begs. "The bad men might come back." He kneels to her level, wiping her tears with gentle fingers. "No one will hurt you," he promises. Lyra will take care of you until I return. And I will come back. You promise? She asks, her bottom lip trembling. I promise, little star. He presses something into her palm, a small wooden wolf he's been carving in the evenings. Keep this safe for me. She clutches it to her chest and nods bravely. The sun is setting when he's ready to leave. He stands at the edge of the clearing, looking back at my cottage with an expression I can't read. 1 month, he says again. I nod, trying to be as brave as Mira. 1 month. He steps closer, his hand cupping my cheek. His touch is warm against my skin. When I return, things will be different. Better. I'll be here, I whisper. He hesitates, then leans down and presses his lips to my forehead. Not quite a kiss, but more than a friendly touch. His scent wraps around me pine and smoke and something uniquely him. Then he's gone, disappearing into the trees like a shadow. Mira's small hand slips into mine as we watch the place where he vanished. He'll come back, she says with a child's simple faith. Yes, I agree, hoping it's true. He'll come back. But as the days pass, doubt creeps in like winter chill. I try to keep our routine, the same herbs in the morning, chores in the afternoon, stories by the fire at night. But Kieran's absence leaves a hole in our lives that nothing can fill. The moon waxes and wanes. 1 week passes. 2, 3. People from the village still come for medicines. They whisper that the Alpha King has returned to the royal city. They say the Northern Territories are in open rebellion. They say he hasn't been seen in public since his return. I try not to listen. I try to believe. But when the full moon rises, bright and cold in the night sky, and Kieran doesn't come, something inside me begins to break all over again. He's not coming, is he? Mira asks on the 3rd night after the full moon. Her blue eyes are too knowing for a child her age. I smooth her hair back from her forehead. He might still come. Kings are very busy. But my voice lacks conviction, and Mira is too smart to be fooled. It's okay, she says, patting my hand the way I often pat hers. We have each other. That night, after she's asleep, I sit alone by the fire and let the tears come. Not just for Kieran and his broken promise, but for the foolish hope I'd allowed myself to feel, for the dreams of mountains and flowers, and a place where I might belong. I should have known better. Broken things don't get happy endings. Outside, an owl calls softly in the darkness. Inside, the fire burns low, and I am alone again with my herbs and my books and my quiet life at the edge of the village. But not entirely alone. In the bed against the wall, Mira sleeps peacefully, the small wooden wolf clutched in her hand. A month after Kieran's departure, the first frost coats the grass outside my cottage. The morning air bites with cold, and my breath forms small clouds when I step outside to gather herbs. Winter is coming early this year. Mira helps me pull carrots from my small garden, her cheeks pink with cold. She's grown in the weeks since Kieran left, not just taller, but stronger too. She doesn't cry out in her sleep anymore, and sometimes I catch her humming little songs as she works. Will these be enough for soup? She asks, holding up a handful of orange carrots. Perfect, I tell her, smiling at how seriously she takes her tasks. We'll add some of the dried meat too. We work side by side, preparing for the cold months ahead. I've been teaching her to read using my old herb books, and she's quick to learn. Sometimes I think about what will happen when she's older. Will she stay with me, learning the healer's craft? Or will she want to join the village, find a normal life among people who aren't broken? I push the thoughts away. For now, she's here, and that's enough. We're hanging herbs from the ceiling beams to dry when we hear horses approaching. My heart jumps to my throat, Kieran, but then sinks again. Not one horse, but several. And Kieran would come alone. Stay inside, I tell Mira, moving to the window. 5 riders approach through the trees, the metal of their armor catching the pale autumn sunlight. The royal insignia gleams on their chests, the king's guard again, but not the same men as before. Hide under the bed, I whisper to Mira. Don't come out until I call you. Her blue eyes widen with fear, but she nods and does as I say, wriggling into the small space beneath my bed. I open the door before they can knock, standing as tall as my small frame allows. My bad leg aches in the cold, but I ignore it. The leader of the group dismounts a stern-faced woman with iron gray hair pulled back in a tight braid. I've never seen a woman in the King's Guard before. You are the Omega called Lyra? She asks, her voice as hard as her face. I nod, fighting the urge to step back. I am Captain Thorne of the Royal Guard, she says. By order of the High Council, the child in your care is to be placed with a proper family, a family that can provide proper guidance. My blood turns as cold as the morning frost. No, I say, the word coming out before I can think. She stays with me. Captain Thorne's eyebrows rise slightly. This is not a request, Omega. It is a royal decree. She produces a rolled parchment from inside her cloak, unfurling it to show the royal seal pressed into red wax at the bottom. I stare at the seal, betrayal burning in my throat. The Alpha King agreed to this? His Majesty has chosen a suitable mate from the Northern Territories, she says, watching my face carefully. The alliance will strengthen the kingdom in these troubled times. He has no need for distractions. Each word hits me like a physical blow. Kieran has chosen a mate. He's moving on, making alliances, doing what kings must do. And Mira and I are just distractions to be cleared away. I don't believe you, I say, but my voice shakes. Captain Thorne's face softens slightly. It's not personal, Omega. It's politics. The child will be placed with a noble family in the royal city. She'll want for nothing. She'll want for love, I counter. For someone who knows her nightmares, who understands what she's been through. Children are adaptable, the captain says dismissively. Now, where is she? Let's make this quick. I step back into my cottage, closing the door partly behind me. My mind races. I can't fight 5 royal guards. I can't outrun them, not with my bad leg. But I can't let them take Mira. Something awakens in me, a fierceness I never knew I possessed. I think of Mira's small face, her trust in me, the way she holds my hand when she's scared. She is mine to protect, mine to love. You will not take her, I declare, standing taller than I ever have. She belongs with me. Captain Thorne sighs, as if dealing with a difficult child. Don't make this harder than it needs to be, Omega. The decree has been signed. We have the authority to use force if necessary. She nods to her men, who move toward the door. I block their path, my heart pounding but my resolve firm. What will you do, broken one? One of the men sneers. You have no power here. But he's wrong. I may not have physical strength or royal authority, but I have knowledge. I have my herbs and potions. I throw a handful of dried powder into the fireplace behind me. Blue flames leap up, and thick smoke fills the cottage. I've used this trick before to drive out wasps from the ceiling beams, a harmless smoke that stings the eyes and clouds the vision. The guards stumble back, coughing and rubbing their eyes. Mira, I call softly. Come quickly. She crawls out from under the bed and takes my hand. Together, we slip through the back door of the cottage, while the guards are still disoriented by the smoke. We need to run, I whisper, leading her toward the trees behind my garden. My leg protests with each step, but fear and determination push me forward. Behind us, I hear shouts as the guards realize we've escaped. The sound of boots crashing through undergrowth follows us into the forest. Where are we going? Mira pants, her small legs working hard to keep up. Somewhere they can't find us, I tell her, though I have no real plan. Just away from the guards, away from the betrayal that burns in my chest. We push deeper into the forest, following a deer trail I know from gathering herbs. The trees grow thicker here, the underbrush more tangled. My bad leg catches on a root, and I stumble, nearly falling. Come on! Mira urges, tugging my hand. They're coming. I can hear them too, crashing through the forest, calling to each other. They're spreading out, trying to surround us. This way, I whisper, pulling Mira toward a fallen log. Behind it, half hidden by ferns, is a small cave entrance. I found it years ago while searching for mushrooms. Crawl inside, I tell her. Go all the way to the back. She hesitates, eyeing the dark opening. What about you? I'm right behind you, I promise. The cave is barely big enough for both of us, damp and smelling of earth. We press ourselves against the cold stone wall, trying to quiet our breathing. Outside, boots thump on the forest floor. Voices call back and forth. They couldn't have gone far, a man's voice says, so close that I flinch. The Omega has a bad leg. The council wants the child, Captain Thorne's voice replies. The Omega doesn't matter. Mira's small hand finds mine in the darkness, squeezing tight. I pull her closer, wrapping my arm around her thin shoulders. Minutes pass like hours as we huddle in our hiding place. The voices and footsteps move away, then return, then move away again. The light outside the cave entrance dims as afternoon turns to evening. Are they gone? Mira whispers after a long silence. I peer out cautiously. The forest seems empty, but I don't trust the quiet. We should wait a little longer. Night falls completely. The air grows colder, seeping through my thin dress. Mira shivers against me. We can't stay here, I decide finally. We'll freeze. We crawl out of the cave, my legs stiff from sitting so long in the cold. The forest is different at night, full of shadows and sounds that make Mira press closer to my side. Where will we go? She asks, her voice small. I think of the stories my grandmother told me of the wild lands beyond our territory, where wolves answer to no alpha, where outcasts build new lives. Somewhere they can't find us, I promise, kissing her forehead. Somewhere we can be free. But as we walk through the dark forest, my leg throbbing with each step, I wonder if such a place exists. The royal guards will search. They'll find us eventually. And what then? Will they take Mira away? Will they punish me for defying a royal decree? The thought of losing her makes my chest ache worse than my leg. In just a few months, she's become my world, my reason to be brave, to fight back, to believe I might be more than just the broken Omega. I won't let them take you, I whisper, more to myself than to her. No matter what. The moon rises, casting silver light through the trees. By its glow, we find our way to a small stream. The water is ice cold, but clean. We drink and then follow it downstream, hoping it will lead us to a village or a farm where we might find help. As we walk, I think of Kieran. Had it all been lies? The soft looks, the gentle touches, the promise to return? Or had something happened to change his mind, politics, duty, the needs of his kingdom? It doesn't matter now. Whatever we might have been to each other, whatever future I'd foolishly imagined, is gone. All that matters is keeping Mira safe. We'll be okay, I tell her as she stumbles with tiredness. I promise. And for the first time in my life, I'm determined to keep a promise, no matter what it costs me. We travel for 3 days, moving mostly at night when the guards are less likely to spot us. During the day, we hide in hollow logs or dense thickets, curled together for warmth. Mira is brave beyond her years, never complaining even when her feet blister and her stomach growls with hunger. I gather what food I can, wild berries, roots, and once a rabbit caught in a simple snare my father taught me to make long ago. We drink from streams and sleep on beds of pine needles. My healing herbs are gone, left behind in our rush to escape. But I find plantain leaves to soothe Mira's blisters, and yarrow to stop the bleeding when I cut my hand on a sharp rock. By the 3rd day, my bad leg throbs constantly. Each step sends pain shooting up to my hip, but I force myself to keep moving. Mira watches me with worried eyes, but says nothing, just holds my hand tighter when she sees me wince. Where are we going? She asks on the evening of the 3rd day, as we walk along a shallow stream. our feet numb in the cold water. I'm not sure, I admit. I've heard stories of places beyond our pack lands, settlements of outcasts and loners who live by their own rules. But I've never been more than a few miles from my cottage. The world beyond is a mystery to me. On the fourth night, we make camp in a small cave formed by fallen rocks. It's barely big enough for both of us, but it blocks the wind that has grown colder each night. Mira falls asleep quickly, exhausted from our long walk. I sit at the entrance, watching the forest, a small knife, my only weapon, clutched in my hand. The forest falls suddenly, unnaturally silent. A twig snaps. I rise, pushing Mira farther back into the shadows. "Who's there?" I call, trying to keep my voice steady. No answer comes, but I sense something watching us from the darkness between the trees, something large. I raise my small knife, knowing it's useless against whatever waits in the shadows. "Show yourself," I demand. A massive wolf emerges from the trees, pitch black with amber eyes that glow in the darkness. I know those eyes. My hand drops to my side, the knife suddenly heavy. "Kieran?" The wolf approaches slowly, its movements fluid and powerful. When it's just a few feet away, it stops. The air around it seems to shimmer, and then bones crack, fur recedes, and the wolf shifts into human form. Kieran stands before me, wearing only a pair of torn trousers. His chest and feet are bare, his dark hair wild around his face. Even in the dim moonlight, I can see new scars on his skin that weren't there before. "You're alive," I breathe, relief and anger warring within me. "And you're running," he counters, his gaze taking in my dirty dress, my tangled hair, the dark circles under my eyes. For a moment, we just stare at each other. Then all my fear and hurt and betrayal boil over. "Your guards came for Mira," I say, my voice shaking. "They had a royal decree with your seal. They said you had chosen another mate from the Northern Territories." His expression darkens, a growl rumbling from his chest. "I signed no such decree. But the royal seal can be used by the council in certain situations," he says, stepping closer. "When the King Island, unavailable." I take a step back. "What does that mean?" His eyes flash in the darkness. "It means I was betrayed, poisoned on my return journey, and kept prisoner in my own castle." The words don't make sense at first. Prisoner? The Alpha King? The Northern Rebellion was a trap. He continues, his voice low and tight with anger, designed to separate me from my allies, to weaken me. The council has been working against me for years, slowly gathering power. They saw my interest in you as the perfect opportunity to act. "Why?" I ask, still not understanding. "Why would they care about me? I'm nobody." "You're not nobody," he says fiercely. "You're everything they fear." A small sound comes from the cave behind me, Mira waking up. She peeks around my skirt, then gasps. "Kieran!" she cries, launching herself at him. He catches her easily, lifting her into his arms as she throws her small arms around his neck. "Hello, little star," he says, his voice softening. "You've been brave, haven't you?" She nods against his shoulder. "Lyra, too. She wouldn't let the mean people take me." His eyes find mine over her head, full of something I can't name. I knew she wouldn't. He sets Mira down gently. "I need to talk to Lyra for a bit. Can you be brave a little longer and wait in the cave?" She looks between us, then nods solemnly. "Don't fight," she says before retreating back into our shelter. When she's gone, Kieran turns to me again. "I would never have chosen another mate," he says, his voice low and intense. "Not when my heart, my soul, recognizes only you." "But I can't bond," I remind him, the old pain surfacing again. "I'm not broken," he interrupts fiercely. "Never broken. Your inability to bond was a lie, a poison, administered since childhood by those who feared what you would become." My world tilts. "What?" "You're not a common Omega," he explains, taking a step closer. You're something much rarer. A true Luna, a moon blessed. The last one was born a century ago. The words make no sense. Moon blessed? I've never heard of such a thing. He takes my hands, and his touch sends warmth racing up my arms. When we met at the festival, I knew. Your scent wasn't wrong, it was sacred. Different because it's not meant for just any alpha, but for a true king. I don't understand, I whisper. The council knew what you were before you did, he says. They've been watching you since you were a child. The tests they did, the potions from the mountain witch, they weren't trying to fix you. They were making sure you stayed broken. Tears blur my vision as years of shame and rejection take on a new, terrible meaning. All my life. They knew? They knew you could be my greatest strength, he confirms. Or my greatest weakness if I rejected you. So they tried to keep us apart. When that failed, they tried to eliminate me. But you escaped, I say, the pieces starting to fit together. He nods, a grim smile touching his lips. They underestimated what I would do to get back to you. The forest around us seems to hold its breath. In the distance, an owl calls once, then falls silent. Why didn't you come to my cottage? I ask. I tried. They were watching it. I've been following you for 2 days, keeping the guards off your trail while I figured out how to approach without frightening you. I think about the times I felt we were being watched, the strange absence of guards even though we left clear tracks. You've been protecting us. Always, he says simply. He takes another step toward me, close enough now that I can feel the heat from his body. I make this vow under the watching moon, he says, his voice dropping to a whisper that somehow seems to fill the whole forest. I claim you not, despite your differences, but because of them. You are my perfect match, my true mate, my queen. As his words wash over me, something shifts deep inside a lock turning, a door opening to a room I never knew existed within my soul. A warm glow starts in my chest and spreads outward, flowing like honey through my veins. What's happening? I gasp, looking down at my hands. In the moonlight, my skin seems to shimmer with a soft silver light. The bond, Kieran says, wonder in his voice. A true Luna bond, forming on its own without force or ritual. His own skin begins to glow with a golden light that matches his eyes. The kind of bond that can't be broken or faked. The warm feeling grows stronger, sweeter, filling all the empty spaces inside me that have ached for so long. I feel Kieran, not just with my hand in his, but somehow inside me too. His strength, his determination, his fierce protectiveness. I feel you, I whisper in awe. And I feel you, he replies. Your compassion, your courage, the love you've kept hidden for so long. The glow fades slowly, but the connection remains a golden thread linking us together. I can feel his heartbeat alongside my own, his breath matching mine. What happens now? I ask, still trying to understand the miracle that's just occurred. Kieran's face turns serious. Now we reclaim what's ours. The council has ruled in my absence, spreading lies about my disappearance. They must be stopped before they destroy everything I've built. And Mira, his expression softens. She comes with us, of course, as our daughter, if you're willing. Our daughter. The words make my heart swell. I'm willing, I say, but I'm afraid too. I don't know how to be a queen. Kieran touches my cheek gently. You already are a queen, he says. You just need a crown to make others see it. From the cave, Mira watches us with wide blue eyes. Are we going home now? She asks. Kieran extends his hand to her, and she comes running to take it. Yes, little star, he says. We're going home. As we stand together under the watching moon, I realize that home isn't my small cottage at the edge of the village anymore. Home is wherever we three are together. I'm ready, I tell Kieran, and I mean it with every part of my newly awakened soul. 1 year later, I stand on the balcony of the Eastern Tower, watching the full moon rise over our kingdom. my kingdom. The stone railing feels cool under my hands, worn smooth by hundreds of years of royal touches. Below me, the castle courtyard glows with the light of 100 torches. People dance and laugh, their happy voices rising up to where I stand. Music fills the air, drums and pipes playing a tune that makes even the guards tap their feet. Today marks 1 year since the Great Purge, when Kieran removed the corrupt council members who had poisoned our land for so long. 1 year since I walked into the royal castle not as a broken Omega, but as the true Luna, the moon-blessed queen. The silver crown on my head feels lighter than I expected, a delicate circle of moonstone and white gold that matches the glow that now permanently lives beneath my skin. My dress, too, is silver, flowing around me like water when I move. I no longer limp. That was perhaps the greatest surprise of the Luna Bond, the healing that flowed through my body in the weeks that followed. The leg that had marked me as broken, my whole life grew straight and strong, as if it had never been damaged at all. "Your Majesty," a voice calls from the doorway behind me. "Princess Mira refuses to sleep until you tell her a story." I turn to find Ilara, once my cruelest tormentor, now our royal governess. Life takes strange turns sometimes. After the Great Purge, many who had once looked down on me found themselves seeking my mercy. Some, like Ilara, proved that people can change when given the chance. "Tell her I'll be there shortly," I reply, smiling at the thought of Mira's stubborn face. No longer a frightened orphan, she has blossomed into a true princess, headstrong, clever, and fiercely loving. When the door closes, strong arms circle my waist from behind, and familiar lips brush the spot where my neck meets my shoulder. A shiver runs through me, pleasant and warm. "What are you thinking about, my Luna?" Kieran asks, his scent pine and smoke and something uniquely him wrapping around me like a favorite blanket. "About how far we've come," I answer, leaning back against his chest. "About how what they saw as my greatest weakness became my greatest strength." My hand drifts to my rounded belly, where our child grows, the first royal born of a true Luna Bond in generations. I'm 6 months along now, the baby strong and active, especially under the light of the full moon. "They called me broken," I murmur, watching the celebration below, "but I was just waiting to be whole." Kieran turns me gently to face him, his amber eyes soft with the love that flows constantly between us through our bond. In his formal clothes, black with silver embroidery that matches my dress, he looks every inch the powerful Alpha King, but I alone know the gentleness he keeps hidden from the rest of the world. "You were never broken," he reminds me, his hand joining mine on my belly. "Just extraordinary in a way they couldn't understand." I rise on tiptoes to kiss him, a quick touch of lips that carries all the love I once thought I would never be allowed to feel. "Mira is waiting for her story," I say, pulling back. "Will you join us?" He nods, taking my hand. I wouldn't miss it. We walk together through the castle hallways, nodding to guards and servants who bow as we pass. Once, such respect would have made me uncomfortable. Now I accept it as part of my new life, though I still remember to thank those who serve us, to learn their names and the names of their children. Mira's chambers are in the same wing as ours, her door painted with silver moons and golden stars. When we enter, she sits up in her large bed, her dark curls wild around her face. "Finally," she exclaims. "I've been waiting forever." "Forever is a very long time," I tease, sitting on the edge of her bed. Kieran joins us, and Mira immediately climbs into his lap. At 7 years old, she's getting too big for such things, but neither of us has the heart to stop her. "Tell me about the broken Omega again," she demands. It's her favorite story, how the unwanted healer became a queen. "Once upon a time," I begin, the familiar words flowing easily, "there was a girl who thought she was broken." Later, when Mira has finally fallen asleep, Kieran and I walk back to our chambers hand in hand. The sounds of celebration still rise from the courtyard, but they're growing quieter as the night deepens. "Are you happy?" Kieran asks suddenly, stopping in the middle of the hallway to look at me. The question surprises me. Of course I am. Can't you feel it through our bond? He smiles, the smile that's only for me. I can. But sometimes I still worry that this life, the castle, the duties, the politics, is too far from your healing herbs and quiet cottage. I think about my old life, the loneliness, the shame, the constant ache of rejection. And then I think about this new life, Mira's laughter, Kieran's love, the baby growing inside me, the people who now look to me not with scorn but with hope. I miss my herbs sometimes, I admit. But look, I lead him to the window at the end of the hallway. From here, we can see the royal gardens and in one corner, a special plot that grows all the healing plants I once tended in my small cottage garden. I still heal people, I remind him, just in different ways now. It's true. As queen, I've established healing houses throughout the kingdom, places where anyone can seek help regardless of their status or wealth. I've trained new healers in the old ways, passing on the knowledge my grandmother gave me. And I've shown by example that those once labeled as broken can be the strongest among us. Come, Kieran says, pulling me gently toward our chambers. You need rest. The baby is fine. I laugh, patting my belly. Strong, like its father, and wise, like its mother. He adds, in our bedchamber, the windows stand open to let in the moonlight. I sit at my dressing table while Kieran carefully removes my crown and begins to brush my long hair. A nightly ritual he insists on performing himself. Do you remember the first time we met? He asks, the brush moving in long, gentle strokes. At the festival, when I ran away from you. I smile at the memory that once brought pain. When you looked me in the eye, he corrects. No Omega had ever done that before. I knew then that you were different. I was scared. I admit, so was I, he says, surprising me again. I'd waited so long to find you. I was afraid you'd reject the bond, reject me. I turn to face him, taking the brush from his hand. Never, I promise. Not then, not now, not ever. He pulls me to my feet and into his arms, his forehead resting against mine. Through our bond, I feel his love washing over me like warm rain, and I send my own love back to him in waves. As we stand together in the moonlight, I think about the frightened woman who once hid in shadows, who believed herself broken beyond repair. She is gone now, transformed not by magic or miracle, but by the simple, powerful act of being truly seen. In her place stands a queen who turned pain into power, isolation into strength, and who found family in the most unexpected places. The moon sets behind the mountains, but I no longer fear the darkness. I am light enough for us both,